Have you ever seen someone so broken by the world that you thought they'd never rise again, only to watch them stand taller than anyone imagined? This is the story of Elijah Cross, a man once erased by racism who turned silence into strength and pain into purpose. The echo of basketballs once ruled Elijah Cross's world, the thump of leather against polished wood, the rhythm of sneakers cutting across the court. He used to live for that sound. But now all he heard was the squeak of a mop. Ridgeway High's empty gym glowed under tired fluorescent lights. Elijah worked alone, pushing his mop across the same floor where his dreams had once been born and buried. Above him hung banners from the late 90s, each a monument to victories he once helped shape. Coach Reynolds, 1998 champions. Elijah paused. His reflection shimmered faintly in the polished floor, older, slower, quieter. But behind those eyes still burned the same fire. He whispered to himself, "That was supposed to be my year." To the students he was just the janitor. Quiet, polite, invisible. But to anyone who looked closely, Elijah didn't move like other men his age. His balance, his posture, his calm. There was something deeper beneath the uniform, something untold. Back in 1998, Elijah wasn't just another player. He was the player. Captain of the Ridgeway Ravens. The crowd used to chant his name, Eli, Eli, Eli. That final game of his senior year was meant to seal his future. College recruiters had flown in from across the country, Duke, Michigan, Georgetown. His mother, a nurse working double shifts, was in the stands for the first time all season. But in the third quarter, the whistle blew. The referee, a middle-aged man with a smirk too sharp to trust, called Elijah for a foul he hadn't committed. Elijah turned, frustration boiling. "Come on, that wasn't a foul," he said. The referee glared at him. "Watch your mouth, boy." The word boy sliced through the air like a knife. The crowd went quiet. The coach, Reynolds, looked away. Elijah froze, humiliated, furious, and helpless. He'd grown up hearing that word spit like poison in his neighborhood, but never in front of a crowd, never like this. He muttered, "I'm not your boy." That was all it took. The ref blew his whistle again, technical foul. Coach Reynolds pulled Elijah out of the game. "You just cost us everything," he hissed. Elijah sat on the bench as the final buzzer sounded and his teammates celebrated without him. Scouts closed their notebooks. By the next week, every scholarship offer was gone. One outburst, one word, and the system labeled him uncoachable. A familiar story. A black athlete punished for defending his dignity. After graduation, Elijah tried to rebuild. He worked warehouse jobs, cleaned offices, and coached neighborhood kids at the YMCA. But every time he looked at a court, he felt the sting. The headlines never said Elijah Cross, star athlete, wronged. They said Elijah Cross was ejected for misconduct. He became another forgotten name. Another cautionary tale whispered to younger players, "Don't be like him." His mother passed away a few years later, never seeing her son's name redeemed. After that, Elijah stopped trying to prove himself to anyone. He packed away his sneakers, moved away from his old neighborhood, and took the only steady job he could find, janitor at Ridgeway High, the same place that broke him. He told himself it was just a job. But deep down, every night spent sweeping that gym was an act of silent defiance. A promise that one day somehow the truth would find its way out. Years blurred together until the day he met Maya Rivers. Maya was everything Elijah once was, hungry, fast, fearless. The only black player on the girls' varsity team, she carried herself with pride but always seemed to battle a storm alone. After one practice, as she stayed behind to shoot free throws, Elijah lingered. "You stayin' late?" he asked. "Coach says I need the work," she said. Translation, play perfect or sit down. Elijah chuckled softly. Perfection's their excuse for control. Maya frowned. "You sound like you've been through this." He smiled faintly. "Let's just say I've seen this movie before." Over time they talked more. She learned that he'd once played for the same school. She couldn't believe it. You used to play here?" "Long time ago," he said, avoiding her gaze. "Didn't end too well. It started small." Elijah showed her how to tighten her stance. How to pivot on the heel instead of the toe. How to see the court instead of just playing it. "Basketball isn't about the rim," he told her. "It's about the rhythm." Maya improved fast. Her confidence soared. But one night, as Elijah coached her quietly from the sideline, the boys' coach walked in, Reynolds. His face tightened. "Still hanging around Cross?" he said. "Didn't know we paid you to coach." "Just helping a student," Elijah replied evenly. Reynolds scoffed. "Help by keeping your head down. We don't need confusion." Maya stepped forward. He's not confusing anyone. He's teaching me more than you ever did. Reynolds turned on her. Watch your tone, young lady. You're lucky to be on this team at all. That night, Elijah told Maya something she'd never forget. They'll tell you to be grateful for what you have, when what they mean is stay quiet about what you deserve. A week later, Maya recorded Elijah effortlessly hitting a series of impossible shots, backwards from half-court, blindfolded. She posted it online with the caption, "They call him the janitor. I call him a legend." The clip exploded. Within 24 hours, 800,000 views. Within 3 days, 2.5 million. Comments flooded in. Who is this man? He moves like an ex-pro. We need to hear his story. News outlets started calling. But Coach Reynolds wasn't happy. He summoned Elijah to his office. You've made this school a circus, he snapped. You're done here. For cleaning floors? Elijah asked calmly. For overstepping, Reynolds replied. You're not a teacher, Cross. You're not even qualified. But I am human, Elijah said. Maybe that's what scares you. The next day, Elijah found his ID card disabled and his uniform gone. Terminated, for insubordination. Maya didn't let it end there. She started a petition, reinstate Elijah Cross, because truth deserves a job too. Students rallied. Alumni spoke out. Local reporters dug into the story and discovered the old footage from 1998. There it was, the referee's slur, Elijah's stunned silence, and Coach Reynolds looking away. 27 years later, the truth had finally resurfaced. When the video hit social media, the narrative flipped overnight. He wasn't angry. He was disrespected. They stole his future. This is what systemic racism looks like. Protests formed outside Ridgeway High. Signs read, "Respect the janitor. Respect the man." The school board scheduled an emergency meeting. Reporters packed the auditorium. Students wore shirts that said, "I am Elijah Cross." That night, the tension was electric. Coach Reynolds stood at the podium, defiant. "This has gone too far," he said. Elijah Cross was dismissed for misconduct. This witch hunt. A voice interrupted from the back. "Come. Steady. Unmistakable." "Coach Reynolds," Elijah said, stepping forward. "The only witch hunt was the one you started 27 years ago." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Elijah walked to the front, not with anger but with quiet authority. "You taught generations of players to win games. But you never taught them to respect people." Reynolds sneered. "You're just bitter, Cross." "Bitter?" Elijah said. "No. I'm free. And that scares you." Then Maya rose. "He taught me how to play with dignity. What have you taught us? Fear." The crowd erupted in applause. News cameras caught it all. By morning, Reynolds' resignation was trending nationwide. The board offered Elijah his job back, not as janitor but as assistant coach and mentor. Elijah accepted, not out of pride but purpose. "This isn't about basketball anymore," he told Maya. "It's about healing." He transformed the team culture. No yelling. No belittling. No favoritism. Every player's voice mattered. Under his guidance, Ridgeway's girls' team went from underdogs to state finalists. During the finals, the referee missed a foul on Maya, the same scenario that had ruined Elijah's career decades ago. The crowd tensed. The silence felt familiar. Then Elijah stood. His voice was steady but it carried power. "Call it right," he said. "Don't make the same mistake twice." The ref nodded and blew the whistle. Foul. Free throws. Maya stepped up to the line. She closed her eyes, remembering Elijah's words. "It's not about the rim. It's about the rhythm." Swish. Swish. 2 perfect shots. The buzzer sounded. Ridgeway won by 1 point. The entire gym roared. Maya dropped to her knees, overwhelmed. Elijah watched from the sidelines, tears shining. He wasn't the player this time, but he had finally won his game. After the championship, Elijah was interviewed live on national TV. The reporter asked, "Mr. Cross, after everything that happened, how does victory feel?" He smiled. "It's not about victory. It's about visibility. For too long, people like me have been told to stay quiet, stay humble, stay small. But you can't build a better world by staying invisible." He paused. The crowd leaned in. "Respect doesn't come from trophies," he said. "It comes from how you treat people when no one's watching." The video went viral. Celebrities reposted it. Schools invited Elijah to speak. He became a symbol, not of rage but of resilience. Elijah used his new platform to start a mentorship program for underprivileged youth called Crossing Lines. Its mission: to bridge the gap between talent and opportunity, especially for young black athletes overlooked by the system. He spent weekends visiting communities, prisons, shelters, telling his story not as tragedy but as testimony. "I thought they buried me," he'd say, holding up his old shoes. "But they didn't know I was a seed." Maya, now in college on a full scholarship, often joined him. She told audiences, "He didn't just teach me to shoot. He taught me to stand tall in a world that keeps trying to shrink us." Together, they became living proof that redemption isn't about erasing pain, it's about transforming it. Years later, Ridgeway High unveiled a mural on the gym wall, "Elijah Cross Court, where truth always wins." Students, parents, and faculty gathered as Elijah stood before it, humbled. "I didn't do this alone," he said. "Every kid who refused to give up, every soul who stood against hate, this belongs to you." Then, looking into the camera, he said something that would echo far beyond that gym. "If you want to honor me, don't just remember my name. Remember the next person you overlook. They might be carrying a story the world needs to hear." The crowd fell silent, and then erupted into applause. Years after Elijah's passing, people still share his story. His name trends every Black History Month. Coaches quote him in locker rooms. His words are printed on t-shirts and posters across the country. Respect is not a favor. It's a foundation. And somewhere, a young janitor sweeping a gym floor hears that story, looks up and smiles, knowing they are not invisible. Because one man, once broken by injustice, proved that dignity can't be fired, erased, or forgotten. It only grows stronger when it's shared. If Elijah's story touched your heart, if it reminded you that silence is not surrender, and that true power lies in how you rise, then please take a moment to like, share, and comment below what you felt during this journey. Your engagement helps us tell more stories that matter, stories that inspire hope, confront racism, and remind the world that every life has worth. Speech balloon comment where you're watching from. We love seeing our global family of truth seekers. Loudspeaker, share this story with someone who needs to hear it today. Red heart, subscribe and help us reach 5,000 subscribers, because your support turns stories into movements. This is a story arc, where truth meets power and where every voice deserves to rise.